abuse of power, or good police work. 2 decades ago, the criminal justice system, like never before, was scrutinized for the alleged unethical conduct by both law enforcement and court officials in 2 major cases. These 2 leading cases that brought ethical issues to the forefront were the beating of Rodney King and the murder trial of O.J. Simpson. Even though both incidents happened 2 decades ago, the Rodney King beating is indelibly imprinted on the psyche of the American public as an example of police brutality. While the court images of O.J. Simpson are a reminder to many of the role that race plays in the courtroom. Both of these cases reflect many of the elements discussed in this week's readings, such as some citizens are deserving of the harshest application of police power when labeled as criminals. The POPO doctrine, pissing off a police officer, describes how affronts to police authority, i.e. the King case, often ends in unethical uses of force, a quick resort to violence where aggressive crime control tactics are encouraged, the subcultural and organizational support and/or tolerance for such use of force, as evidenced by the computer messages that followed the King beating that joked about the force that was used. The initial easy acceptance of police and media definitions that justified violence against some citizens because of prior criminal records, with implications that they deserve what they get, the presence of societal divisions based on race and socioeconomic circumstance that shape the perception of the justice system. For example, the Simi Valley jury acquitted the officers in the King case only because they were white middle-class citizens and they see the police force as good. Therefore, they couldn't believe that the good guys could be bad. The O.J. Simpson trial in 1994 was as much a trial of police credibility as it was of the guilt or innocence of the defendant, and it indicated in a dramatic way what happens when doubt replaces trust in police performance and when police testimony is received with suspicion rather than with trust. In addition, the credibility of all police departments came under attack after the LAPD's Rampart Division scandal, in which an anti-gang squad ran amok until one of its members confessed and implicated all the others, saying some officers manufactured evidence, planted guns on suspects, and lied on the witness stand. This inflicted grievous harm to the credibility of all LAPD and by extension to all police officers. Other examples of mistrust include the Amadou Diallo case in New York City, where the trial was moved to Albany, arguably so the police officer defendants who shot an unarmed Diallo in 1999 could obtain a fair trial. The officers in the Diallo case were subsequently acquitted, and many minorities perceived the acquittal as part of a consistent pattern of oppression and brutality by police officers, who more often than not are not punished. Officers who are prosecuted for inappropriate use of force seem to receive the benefit of the doubt by juries and civilian review boards, even when their own department has fired them. For instance, in 1996, several off-duty Indianapolis police officers were evidently intoxicated after a sports game and were prosecuted for public intoxication and threatening others with firearms. Despite a great deal of publicity and witnesses, the jury trial ended in a hung jury. Every few years, a major city seems to undergo a scandal involving an individual officer or group of officers whose misconduct tarnishes the department. Go back now, if you have not already done so, and view the King and OJ videos. Then come back here and continue with part 2 of this lecture.